things as well.
And Chief Drake talking about being brought to tears, seeing those children being reunited. Some of those families did get to reunite today at Woodmont Baptist Church, right in the heart of Green Hills, off Hillsborough, of course, where Woodmont intersects. And Olivia Michael has been there speaking to parents, getting answers for us. Olivia, can't even imagine that scene. Catch us up on where you are and what you've seen.
Sure, Ben. Well, we are right outside the Reunification Center here at Woodmont Baptist Church. Address is 2100 Woodmont Boulevard, just sort of off of Hillsborough Pike. And like you said, it really is kind of unimaginable. It's been an organized situation here. Parents are still, even hours after this has happened, making their way in. And the look on their faces is concern, fear, desperation. But the good news is, as you had mentioned, that they are being reunited with their children. I'm currently joined now by Dr. Talwar, who is a social psychologist and co-founder of the Unity of Faiths Foundation. Tell me what brought you here today.
Myself and my colleague Pam Lewis, we came here because we heard what happened, the horrible scenes. As a crisis psychologist or a social psychologist working in Nashville as well as in Liverpool in the UK, it was only my duty to come over and offer my services to support the parents, the school, the police, the city council. So I came here, and then we were led inside and to see we can offer our services to counsel or to or just to speak to them, offer a hand of support and put a hand, put a arm around their shoulder or give them a hug or something. Because at this present moment, there was all I could see in their eyes was fear. All I could see in their eyes was a lot of anger as well at the same time. There was a lot of crying going on, you can imagine in there. So the scenes were not very unpleasant scenes in the sense of like, my heart just went out there. I'm being a psychologist, but I got incredibly emotional as well at the same time.
And that was something that I was going to ask you. You've already talked about it, but what was the atmosphere like? Our Ben Hall kind of had a vantage point earlier, and he said, he described it as somber.
Yes, it was actually. And it was like, like a funeral or something. It was terrible, and people didn't know, but you can see it, that whole walking through the whole of the aisle. Walking into a church, and suddenly you think you're in a funeral. It was terrible. It must be terrible for the parents, obviously. It must be terrible for the families as well at the same time. But I just want to say the police did a fantastic job. The city council is doing a fantastic. The deputy mayor was here as well at the same time, still here, and the school doing a wonderful job. But I think we've got to realize, guys, that sometimes, yes, this is a mental health problem. We know this is a mental health problem, and we've got to find a way to take away the stigma of mental health, because the stigma is still there. And then on top of that, the country is split. You have a split of the country where 50% want the gun law, so 50% don't want the gun law. So like we had in Britain, for example, we had a Brexit referendum. Let the public choose what they would like. So this way, no one's in the way, the public will choose, and then, you know what, we've had 100 shootings in 2023 this year so far. We're still in March. So all I can say is this is not a Nashville problem, this is not a Tennessee problem, this is an American situation which everybody needs to get and solve.
I want to talk to you about the road ahead, the path to healing for these students and these families. But first, can you describe, was it a full room in there? If you had to take a guess, how many adults would you say were in the room?
It was like a huge church, and it was completely packed inside. So you can imagine, I don't know how many, 100, maybe more, but it was completely packed inside.
Yeah, because we do know that there were about, on any given day, just over 200 students.
Maybe.
So that would make sense.
That would.
Kind of like we were talking about earlier, obviously a traumatic, incredibly painful situation, both for the children and for the adults. Are parents going to have to now have difficult conversations with their little ones?
Well, I think so, because we don't need a child to go through this situation where they'll be scarred for the rest of their lives. And that's really important, that we need to identify, speak to the children, find a way to evaporate this memory and move them forward. Because normally when someone goes through mental health issues, it's always been a scar in the past that sort of like springs up. And that's why it's important that we deal with the children and also the parents, that, you know what, they need counseling, they need support. Let's get them the support.
So how do parents and guardians open up that dialogue with their little ones?
I think it's really important firstly you comfort them first, that, you're safe, you're with me, nothing's going to happen. I'm here now, so don't worry about that. Then what you do, if a conversation comes up from the child, address it. Do not ignore it. Address it there and then, because if you don't address it, it will linger on the child's mind, thinking, okay, I'll ask tomorrow, I'll ask tomorrow. So what happens is when you ask by tomorrow, it just increases, and that stays in the child's brain psychologically.
We're talking about the children, but talk to me about the adults. As a parent, as a grandmother, grandfather, aunt, uncle, surely this is traumatic for them
This
too.
is not going to go away. This is not going to go away. This is going to scar them as well at the same time. So that's why it's important to find a counseling or a psychologist for the family in general, not just for the child or for the parent, for the family. Each should go in there, have a support system for them to counsel them all one by one. I think it's really important.
How long do you plan on being at this location?
Well, I'm here now, and I'm offering my services as much as I can, and we're working together, doing this project called the Road to Nashville, now the Road to Memphis, and hopefully this is about mental health, and hopefully now that whole awareness that we're bringing through the project will take away the stigma of mental health. Pray to God about that.
A really important conversation and really wonderful advice. Thank you so much.
Thank
in
you.
addition to Dr. Talwar, as we mentioned earlier, the Red Cross is here on site providing disaster mental health workers in addition to spiritual care, food, water. We just spoke with a neighbor